years ago to 1 in 50-something now. You think cancer up over 10,000 percentage points in children, 2,000 percentage points in adults plus, diabetes up 3,000 plus percent, type 2 alone, juvenile onset epidemic, neurological disorders epidemic, bowel disorders epidemic. Do you think they're going to stop? No, they're not going to stop. And now I went just during breaks and dug up that they are giving experimental vaccines for depression to the troops. That's what these are. Oh, you're not going to be worried anymore that you've been here 7 tours. We're going to give you this shot, Bubba. You're going to get a fever, and you ain't going to worry about nothing ever again. You're going to go home and work at Walmart and then die of the cancer shots we already gave you. And I know all these people out there, because I talk to them, sometimes they're like, okay, well, you can't beat this. I'm going to join it. Join with the devil, basically? You don't join with that, you idiot. All you do is fight this. We've got to bring down the New World Order. We got to arrest all these people. And notice they always get you to get rid of the Bill of Rights and Constitution for some outside enemy, like the Muslims. The Muslims, the New World Order extremist Muslims are run by the globalists. On record, I got stacks of news where they admit Al-Qaeda is the group they're using to go into Syria. You hear these Pentagon doctors and psychiatrists going, oh, so you say this will stop a guy going to a market to blow people up? Well, and it'll stop troops from coming home and committing suicide. Because you won't have that fanatic, over-the-edge willingness. That's what they're scared of. They're scared of when they push you around and try to hurt you and steal what you got, you're going to fight back. They're scared of it. You give John Wayne a shot of this, he goes over in the corner and does what he's told. And it's communicable. And listen, it's not just this Pentagon briefing. I just read to you where, oh, you take this shot, you're not going to get upset anymore. You know what? I like the fact I get upset. It gives me energy. That's my love is passionate and my anger is passionate. And you want to get rid of that. You want to get rid of the fact that I'm willing to die. You don't like the fact I'm committed. You don't like the fact that I have this connection to God. It's like the song, yeah, here come the visions. Here come the crystal visions. I keep my visions to myself. The system knows with their brain scans, folks. They know you're outside this world. They know you're connected to things that are bigger. They don't like it. Beethoven, music, science, quantum mechanics, and every study is associated with the spiritual zones that they associate spirituality with. They want that off. They want it cut off. If that isn't the devil, I don't know what is. They want to shut that down. Finish up the clip. I'll try to shut up. Here it is.
Here we have 2 brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are 2 different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here. And that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious. And when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
And pause. Back it up. Now notice, that part of the brain's not just associated in the front right lobe with religion. It's, again, mathematics, Beethoven, fires in the minds of men. What did Thomas Jefferson say? He said, we will ignite fires in the minds of men. That's the fire. I feel it right now. The fire. The fire! They want to extinguish the fire. This is the greatest abomination I've ever seen. I declare war against these people. They want some lower brain. You see what they just showed? Some lower brain, not associated with genius, some lower animal level that's disgusted by the fire in the mind. Oh, I mean, think of an enemy that comes for our fire. That's who I am. They want my soul, and they cannot have it. By the way, burning out my brain won't blot that out. The spirit only interfaces with the brain. You think you're going to blot out just by screwing up my earth suit? You got another thing coming. Remember, the Luciferians, they are religious. They are aware of that, but they're tuned to darkness. This is the greatest abomination I've ever seen. And it's hidden in plain view like, hey, trendies, there's going to be a shot where you'll have focus calm. No more will you be upset. No more will you have a conscience. Let's go back to it. This is so sick.
And when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
Or being a scumbag.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
Hit pause.
The data.
So do you suggest I have a CT scan out in the field? See if I put a bullet in their head? These guys are all real tough. You know, they're all allowed to do whatever they want. You know, we're fighting Al-Qaeda. We get tough. We're the government doctors. You know, we decide who gets the shots. We decide who we lobotomize. You've already been drinking it your whole life, pal, to make sure you never break through and stop caring about yourself and care about the creation of the Creator and a greater whole. They don't want you and your DNA and everything you are to resonate. They want to keep you down here at an animal level. They want to shut down the intent, the spark to creation, the spark to resistance, the spark to everything that makes humans so great. I've told you, looking at old films and things, that electric spark that was in everybody's eyes 100 years ago, 70 years ago, it's dimmer and dimmer. It's only in children's eyes now. And they admit, I saw big studies in Reuters this week, that the computers are rewiring kids' brains, something we wrote about years ago, and actually dumbing them down. I mean, you know, we're a cursed nation. And it's going to get a lot. We're a cursed world where the Pentagon sits around calmly talking about giving troops and Hajis, as they call them racistly, Cheney talked about a race-specific weapon just to kill all the Arabs. Let's go ahead and go back to the tape. Let's go back. Here it is.
That I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing. And I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is
back it up again. Back it up again. Back it up again. Back it up again. Back it up 10 seconds. Notice they all use words like the virus would go after the gene. No. They're calling the gene that grew your brain that way, it eats the tissue. So it's a virus eating the tissue. But they call it in the news, focus calm, not brain eating, not taking your conscience, focus calm. Oh, the virus inoculates against this gene. The virus is attacking your brain. Your brain, they're saying, is a disease because they're diseased, crazy scientific control freaks. Most of them are a bunch of illiterate, gibbering morons who can hardly talk, by the way. Let's go back to the enemy's minion. Here it is.
CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? The aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, And we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses.
Stop right there.
And
the guy asked, how do we deploy it? And he said, you just release it on everybody. What did they find with the H1N1? Turns out it was released 5 years ago, and the Centers for Disease Control admitted it was a, quote, simulant tracker virus. It was a brain eater. This next video is of David Rothkopf. This article is up at Infowars.com if you want to watch the full 30-something minute video. But David Rothkopf, former head of the Kissinger Group, CEO of Gretchen Rothkopf, and author of Power, Inc. He also wrote Superclass and admits the whole global government. He's been on the show before, refused to come back on the second time. He thought, I'd just come on and thought you'd be reasoned with. You know, you're part of the superclass of media, Alex. That's how they get people to get involved. You heard him on the show. But here is Rothkopf talking about civil unrest, substantive civil unrest in the U.S. by the bankers engineering this collapse, so they hope to trigger a race war instead and out of it get gun control. By the way, Bill Clinton has come out. Kurt Nemo's doing an article on it. Obama has called for gun control after Trayvon Martin. So is Joe Biden. And now Bill Clinton says restrict guns. And now the FBI is being sent in, so we'll never find out the truth of what happened with Zimmerman, because this is purely political, trying to get a race war going. That's one of our top articles at Infowars.com. I had a lot of news I didn't get to today because I spun off into this whole brain-eating vaccine situation. Because what does any of this matter if they just start releasing stuff that openly reduces our IQs and kills that spark of intuition and understanding we have, which is what they're attacking. Only the strongest of us have not succumbed to this. Most people know what's going on, but say, what are you going to do? They've lost their will to resist, their basic human will. But those people don't count. I'm sorry, they're just casualties here. We got to triage them. Those of us that haven't been completely destroyed by this have got to get with others and start warning people and start saying no to the system. Here's the David Rothkopf clip. Go ahead and roll it.
In 1950, if you dropped out of high school, you go get a job at the GM factory, have a decent life, have a middle-class life, have opportunity for your children. If you drop out of high school now, you are destined to live in poverty. You will not compete with people from these other places in the world. You probably will not have social programs. And there will be substantial unrest in the United States, I think, as a consequence of all of this. So the balance matters. And it's not to say leave it to the government, and it's not to say leave it to the private sector. It's to say that this struggle that's been going on for 400 or 500 years to get the balance right, and is an ongoing struggle, is something we need to revisit. We need to ask those questions. Why are there corporations? Why is there government? What is the right mix between those things? What can we learn from history?
So now the system is acting like they're trying to fix what they've engineered. This is like a few years before they imploded this market by design to get more power. Greenspan says, oh, we have a rational exuberance. Boy, you guys screwed up when he got rid of Glass-Steagall. That's all that's going on. We're going to have a big nightly news tonight, 7 o'clock, where I'm going to get into all this and more, and a bunch of news I didn't get to. I mean, some of this stuff. Homeland Security targets anti-abortion activists as domestic terrorists. Never got to that. Got to some calls, but not everybody holding. If you call back tomorrow, Reverend Bruce, soldier in Washington, Richard, Kurt, Chris, I'll get to you. I just ran out of time, and that's the danger of taking calls. I mean that sarcastically, is a lot of times they'll take me in a different direction. England is announcing all phone calls and email to be recorded in live time by the state. Total Big Brother, just in your face. Same thing's already going on here. It's all just off the charts. The Supreme Court has decided the government can track your cell phones without warrants here in the U.S. It's total tyranny. Total tyranny. Look out.